Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Xtreme Studios in the Pinos Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. And of course, from the great Midwest, I have RDV accompanying me. RDV, I want to sit here and set tonight's movie up with this little factoid. Our heat index here with Florida, Central Florida, is around 110, 115. It's been away for about a month. Pretty typical stuff here, really, with the humidity. Temperatures not dropping below 77. Where you're at in the great Midwest, or I should say, great upper Midwest, what kind of temperatures do you guys have right now?
Currently it is like 80 degrees outside.
Jesus, for us to get that, we got 6 more months to go before the dry season in Central Florida. What's that?
I said we've been in a dry season. We've had a drought ever since January.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned you're in a drought because here in Florida, with the raining afternoon, with the sea breezes off both coasts coming in, lightning capital of the world, I am that Florida man guy. I'm not going to disown that label, and all the weird Florida stories here are true because as today at work, people talking about how they got on film a gator getting swallowed by a Burmese python, but the gator was still alive and ate his way out. We hear stories like this daily, so it's not unusual and lost on me, but for someone from the Midwest and flyover country, or people listening to tonight's stream with Casper Van Dein in 2023's recent release of The Flood, it's about a bunch of bad dudes supposedly in a transport. They get caught up with the sheriff's station on the exchange. People are going to break them out, and they're going to die.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you exactly what this is. This is assault on Precinct 13.
Exactly.
With a crawl.
Exactly.
Very low budget, yes. But low budget. I gotta say though, the acting and most part, the only bad acting I actually saw really in here was Nikki Whelan's character as the unconvincing sheriff. She is the poor woman's Angelina Jolie wannabe.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that, sir.
She was horrible.
Unlike Angelina Jolie, it looks like she's ate a sandwich recently.
Angelina Jolie is a more convincing actress in her action movies. This Nikki Whelan just comes up like, oh, I'm a tough girl. My daddy turned on me to shoot. I'm thinking like, no. And then she goes up against this guy. His name is what's the actor's name is Bear.
The big boy.
Yeah, Bear Williams. 6'5", dude. He's like Braun Strowman almost. There's no way she's gonna take him down and beat him up like she did in the movie.
Of course she is.
Oh my god, it was horrible. But other than that though, the Gators. If you're thinking this movie is all about the people, it's about the Gators. The Gators, man, you're cheering them on. There's 4 big giant 500-pound Gators that get inside this Louisiana basically sheriff department. That's basically looks like it was filmed in the 90s. Whenever they do SNL, they show like this fake picture of a building, and then they go, "Here's the inside." When they do the skits, that's how bad this was for the low budget. But the inside, though, I gotta say though, because it's constantly filling up with water, because during a hurricane, Louisiana, these gators clearly CG. The gator in what was it? Eraser was a lot better looking than this gator here. But
maybe by half standard deviation, sir, because I got to tell you, the thing with this movie and me whole joking about the Florida heat is we hear about this stuff all the time. And the one thing this movie does do well, despite its lack of special effects and how horrible it is
it's chomping.
Well, okay, it's a monster movie, right? So yeah. you can argue whether it's done artistically, like the first Godzilla one from 2014, which I think is great, where you don't see them a lot. To where you see them too much, or they shoot them, as our complaints are, like with Indiana Jones on the top of the train or anything at night where it hides a lot of stuff. Here, you get the first kill within like 2 or 3 minutes, then you roll the opening credits. They give you that simple structure that you want to have in a B-level movie. And let's not forget that's what this is supposed to be. It's still better than the Meg, without question in my mind. Without doubt, because the Meg, you walk away furious because you spend $100 on a steak, you want something that's cooked pretty well. You don't want to.
The problem with the Meg is there wasn't that much of the Meg. It was more.
That's my whole point. It was a farce. It was a joke.
This movie, here it's basically kill after kill, and unlimited ammo. Apparently, the bullets don't work until the end of the movie. Then they start working on the Gators. At this point, they just bounce off of them like they're bulletproof.
Oh yeah, take out the arrow out of the water too, and then just fire away like Casper does. Absolutely, yeah.
That's classic Casper Van Dein. Johnny Rico, bro. Man. Overall, going into this movie, you know what you're gonna get. you know you're walking in. I knew right away. It's Casper Van Dien. I did not expect the rating to be that high. That being said, IMDb gave it a 3.8. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be fun. Actually, take it back. I just looked at it. It's 3.4 out of 10. And I gotta say, I'm torn on this because the thing that annoyed me the most was the fact that the bullets had no effect during the whole entire movie, and they're shooting, and then they die. And I'm thinking like, wow, that could have done a lot better. But the writing, whoever's doing the writing probably doesn't know anything about guns.
Right.
It could have made it a lot more fun. I wanted to see a crocodile being electrocuted because the wire is going into the water. I wanted to see something like that, but no. What really stood out for me is the inmates. The inmates were believable in here. The 5 inmates that were in lockup.
Yeah, they get the Quentin Tarantino-ish type of as they're driving in the storm at the beginning. They're given the introductions with their names and that quick freeze frame, and then of course when she is interviewing them all, and they get a chance to talk from there too. They're saying, okay, these are the characters you guys are going to see, and it's your choice to decide to love them, hate them, or which ones are going to be gator bait.
Yep. Poor Omar gets killed right away. The 4 bad guys. Guy plays Rafael. Because basically what it is, we told about how the prisoners were basically were in transit. They stopped there. They'll stay overnight to ride the storm out. Well, here's a group of mercenaries, or I guess criminals that were going to. They're gonna stop the bus and break Russell Cody, played by Casper Van Dien, out of jail because, well,
Cop killer.
Yeah, he's a cop killer, but is he really? No. We find out towards the end because he's a good boy. He's the handsome guy. In every movie, he's the face. We call him.
Yeah, he's not bad looking.
No, he's a pretty boy. So anyway, Rafe pulled. Man, we see him through the movie. Like at the beginning of the movie, he's badass. He's leading. He wants to break out Cody and Cody, and Russell's like, I don't want to go with you. I have nothing to do with you. I'm serving my time. And of course, we see when the water's coming in, the door opens up. Rafe gets pulled out by the gators, and he's holding on to him. He's like, "Don't let me go, brother. I won't let you go." And he goes, "I'm like, that guy's dead." He pulls what was that movie? Not Mercury Rising. What was the other one? Deep Rising. The bad guy. Remember the main bad guy? You see him get eaten, and he's gone. But then you see him later on. It's like a John Voight thing. He's spit up, and then he's sitting there like he's still alive.
Yeah.
Rafe is pretty much surprised at the end, still alive. It is kind of cool when I see stuff like that because I'm thinking like, man, he's such a badass. They killed him off so fast that the gators, because gators don't care. Gators just want meat. We got a guy here playing a Nazi or a neo-Nazi or a racist, whatever you call him.
They just refer to him as a hate crimes guy. That's how watered down they made it.
He's got a swastika on his forehead and everything, and then
a small one.
And then you get this other guy, Jonathan Jocks, Apone, whatever it is. He's the only black guy, and he's clearly racist too. Thinks he's a thug. And I'm just watching this, and like, there's some stereotypical roles in here for prisoners, but the one that's Angela Cooper, played by Barrett Williams. This guy, he killed. I'm like, oh, I killed the guy. He's like, and Casper's like, what do you mean you he's like, well, I caught my old lady in bed with another guy. He's like, oh, so you killed the guy? He's like, no, I killed the lady.
Right.
He's like, bro, that's not how you treat a lady.
That's exactly how you treat her.
It was, like I said, they had some good characters here, but overall, man, like if you're going in it expecting to be an awesome over-the-top movie, you're probably going to want your money back. This is like a $5 movie rental.
It is. And I think, too, going back to what you were saying before about the sheriff, the blonde, she's one of those ladies, pushing 40 or like that. That's kind of good looking, but she's got those injectable lips. So they did a good thing here with the lighting because it makes all these people that are actually older look a lot better. And I agree with you. They had to do the 5'6" chick beating up everybody, which is atrocious. But here's where you're wrong. And I'm going to explain it to you where everybody can understand it. And this is not an extreme take. You know why it worked? Her beating up the 6'4", 6'5" guy, and then the dude after that, because it was raining kind of constantly inside and filling it with water, so she was all wet and forced her to take her top off, and so her hair was pulled back and glistening as she moved around.
I knew you were going to say that.
Am I wrong? I am not wrong.
Well, I knew that's why they chose her, because she's been in some other stuff before this. So she's been in Hall Pass. She was in The Running Ringer back in the day. Halloween 2, 2009. So she's been in.
She's been in a lot of stuff. She was like, yeah, I recognize her, but you know where you can't tell her what.
but you know where she's actually from? Where last time we saw her doing a review was from Dust Till Dawn TV series.
Shut up.
She was in there. She was the blonde that was in there. That was the one that came to that was hunting the Gecko brothers for her father. Big shot. Her father was the sheriff.
And don't forget, everybody, we recently have covered, of course, Mission Impossible 7 with S.I. Morales in it, and he's in it too, and he's just so damn good. So, yeah, nice little callback there too. That's cool.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people that popped up from Dust Till Dawn. I got the guy who played the sheriff's deputy. He's in there. He was working with Jack Ryan in season 4. So it's like I'm just seeing a lot of these people that I'm like, what the heck? They're just all just branching out, doing a lot of stuff. It's cool. But overall, though, like I said, I gotta agree with you, Rob. This is a B movie. The only reason she's in there is so you can see her in a wet, tight tank top later on. That's the only
I'm
reason.
down with that.
Yeah, of course, because that's
to me.
It's yes.
Hashtag Blonde Crew. I mean, that's what I represent.
So overall, though, this movie ends just like you think it would end. I'm thinking like, oh. Because they even said, he's like, oh, you're going to fall for this? She's a criminal. And he's like, he's a cop killer. He's like, bro, she's not going to date you. Quick white knight. And at the end, like, they managed to escape on the ski-doos that the people who came to break out Cody.
The Mercs.
The Mercs brought. And they go and you're like, and I'm laughing. And he's like, well, and they're going, he's like, she's like, well, I guess this is where we part away. He's like, what do you mean? You're not going to arrest if you take me? He's like, no. Oh, 5 convicts got killed by the gators. Can't identify the bodies. She lets him go. And he's like, oh, and she's like, one more thing. What do you with the money? He's like, well, and he kind of just smiles. And then he's like, I'll see you later.
Oh, that Casper.
And then you see them. I'm thinking like, he's like, oh, I'll see you later. This is where we part ways. And then they see them driving along each other. And then they finally, at the end, they both go. She goes right. He goes left. And I'm thinking like, how long is he going to get out of there before like they find out that he's alive? Because like they
who cares? And roll credits, bro.
Yeah. Gators don't
they were
hide
making
bodies.
sweet love during the movie, which they should.
I'm surprised there wasn't a love scene between her and Casper Van Dein. I know. But
I mean, you don't hate the convicts, but you kind of understand the roles. The acting's borderline weak sauce. And you brought up something earlier that I think is really important, even though we're kind of half joking about this being a silly, low-rated movie.
Yeah.
It is what it is, but you've brought up Dee Rising, which recently we, of course, covered the passing of Treat Williams, who was in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about Treat Williams just being such a fine, incredible actor, and he's been in a lot of really good stuff and some artsy stuff, but he seemed to, at least for the most part, be regulated to B-level movies. And to me, there's a huge talent gap between, say, him and Casper, but they both check a lot of the same boxes in that they're available, they're willing to do them, they elevate what's going on here. Because let's be honest, if Casper wasn't being here, they're going to need a lot more TNA, a lot more graphic, bloody stuff in here. Because, again, unlike the Meg or Indiana Jones, which had shittier CGI, at least this movie did the smart thing. And about every 10, within the first 5 minutes, you get a kill. And about every 10 minutes or so, you get something like that, where no matter how bad the writing is or this or that, it's got that tempo where something's going to happen. And they kind of tried to make the kills different. And as I was trying to overdo the Florida Man thing at the beginning, they actually captured some gator behavior correctly in terms of what we would call the gator roll. Gator gets you, it doesn't sit there and chew you up. It goes underwater and then it rolls around and thrashes at you. And then you had the Lafayette, Louisiana boy there talking or whatever. And I thought, okay, that was a nice touch with his accent because it almost seemed good. And he's sitting there, he's trying to almost kind of hypnotize the gator when we're all trying to escape by touching him. And then he does. And because again, here in Florida, this is what people do. They mess with gators when they hop on the golf course. You just kind of stand there and, hit a ball at them, trying to get them to move. They've been considered endangered, I think, back in the 70s. And so you weren't allowed to hunt a lot. Now they're overpopulated. So they show up everywhere, especially during mating season. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of an issue. But we kill them, we wrestle them, we fight them, we make clothes out of them, we eat them. And this guy, this was so stupid, but this was kind of funny. Yeah. He's hypnotized at tapping him, getting his snout up, and then he eventually kind of hops on his back like he's wrestling him. And I thought, okay, that's stupid. But then, if you know gators, that's kind of fun. But then, of course, he gets gator rolled into oblivion, and you fucker.
The gator rolls, and he's like, "Oh crap!" Man, it's like a huge gator, and then you actually see and the gator jumped up and bites his head and drags him by his head. I was like, "Oh!"
And he ripped that one dude's arm off.
Yeah. that's the other thing too. Is like this building. I'm thinking like this building's leaking from the roof. The roof it hasn't been finished on the top part. It's like, what kind of precinct is this? These pictures should have been closed down if they can't afford to actually, if it's even process being remodeled.
Understand.
Yeah,
It was supposed to be in Louisiana. They made a
yeah,
reference to Katrina,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
My only thing,
it's a crappy building. It's a government building.
I'm wondering if the building though, because now this is my other thought, because I'm thinking like the water was in the very beginning, the water was leaking in, pouring down the roof. I'm thinking like, well, maybe it's because they lost a roof. It's hurricane winds. I was thinking about that. Maybe that's the reason. Is this a top 500 Gator movie? Well, I don't know. I kind of want to watch the 1980s Alligator movie. I haven't
It's
seen that in
good
a while.
with not Robert Patrick.
Yeah,
What's
but
his face?
as far as Gator movies go, I still think Crawl's better.
Call is good.
Yeah,
Call is good.
this is what you'd see on Sci-Fi Channel if Sci-Fi Channel still played good movies.
Chiller. Yeah, I know. Well, here's the thing too with this movie. During my Twitter stream, when I was looking up and advertising it like you were doing right before we launched,
Uh,
somebody popped up on there, and I thought it was a great description. And it's kind of how movies are today. And Professor Pixel, our young 20-something who occasionally partakes in our banner here, he brings a different perspective and element to it. Um, this person wrote, this is the movie that looks like it should have been released by A24, which is a production company that does very low budget kind of stuff, usually with a lot of soft TNA. I mean, nothing like even by
yeah,
good by 80s, 70s, 80s, or 90s standards where you're actually seeing boob. You get like, kind of hot chicks and, side boob shots and tight clothes and the promise of some TNA, but you never see it. But there's been a lot of movies that A24 has released like that, not just big ones. And so I do like the fact that the Asylum is what actually I think the person referenced, not A24, so I stand corrected. But the Asylum makes a lot of these things. And Asylum made a show that you and I really liked, and that was the other zombie show, not Walking Dead, but
Nation.
correct. And they've done some other things too. So they know how to craft something, and their shortcuts with budget obviously show the effects, but it's fun enough where they try to be good enough where they don't take themselves too seriously and act like they're A level. And again, going back to Treat Williams, this is someone who's a good actor, a great actor. Casper, I'll say he's decent, he's solid, he's a good looking guy. He still elevated everybody who was in there a little bit. So it wasn't like he was trying to be the pretty boy. He was just there. And it works. It is what it is. It's bullshit entertainment that's cheap. You're not going to come away offended. Thankfully, this movie, even though you haven't really seen anything new in it, you've seen worse. And like, Ed Brewer saying in chat, was this a top 500 Gator movie all time? Well, if there's 25 Gator movies out there, maybe this is 20, maybe it's whatever, but it's not the worst Gator movie I think I've seen. That would, of course, well, I'd have to rank them really, but there's not
Yeah.
many.
So yeah, Attack
You got
of
to
the
have
Meth.
when animals attack movies. More is more.
Yep, Attack of the Meth Gator comes out in September. According to IMDb.
Again, I don't know if that's a play off the Cocaine Bear, but I've heard of Meth Gator.
I think it's supposed to be a playoff events. Yeah. Yeah, police warn residents to refrain from flushing methamphetamine down the toilets to prevent meth gators in Florida. Yeah, they don't listen. Sweetwater Point, Florida. Yeah, the only thing, if they're gonna have a gator movie like that, you better get you freaking Gary Busey in there. That's all I'm saying. If it's Florida, you got gators, you got meth. Gary Busey should have a small role in that. But
wow, that was pretty good.
Back to this movie, though, like I said, though, they're using looks like AR-10s.
You think it was a 10?
Not a 15. Because I said if they're using 22, why would you? Because it's full. First of all, they're using fully automatic. They're not using semi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rail and all that looked like it was a newer.
So if they're using AR-10, those are 308s, and the fact that it's just bouncing off of the gator, not even killing it at first, it's like that irritated the heck out of me. And I'm just thinking, like, and I'm just like, I understand they want to do cool kills, but it's like, don't do stupid stuff like that where they just fire blindly into water and it has no effect on the gator. The gator should be like, oh shit, I'm losing, my leg's busted or something like that. And I did like that the one guy stabbed it in the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, like nobody could like even make a dent on it until the very end. And how she stops the last gator is I think she's the propane tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and they kept showing all the scenes that they never used till the end.
Yes.
All right, that's convenient.
And I was just like, those two tall cylinders, are those giant propane tanks? Why hasn't anybody used those yet?
Right.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like it's a sheriff's department, so they don't have extra shotguns. You know, they only have the two. They have the handgun, and then the only guys who had shotguns was the guy. It was the one bad guy who brought it, the Merc, and then then they had the two transit sheriffs. You know, or
Yeah.
not sheriffs, but deputies, whatever you call them. You know, and I was just thinking like, oh man, like I would have not been in that place for the long for just the fact that it's Louisiana. I would have been on the roof at the very beginning.
Louisiana from the South.
Louisiana.
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 Yeah, if
They,
you're from the South.
where they lose all the time.
You know, I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot more rednecks in the South than there is in the Midwest. So you guys might got some guns, but we got the redneck power. So I'll just leave it at that.
You guys got meth power, meth labs.
That's kind of everywhere, though. Really, we can afford it. One observation I'll make before I finish up is that, again, it's kind of pretty much everything we said at the beginning. It's if you're in the mood for a stupid, like when animals attack kind of thing like this, it's fine. It could be gorier, it could have more TNA in it, but it's passable. I wasn't offended. You're right about it's a B rental. The worst acting though that made me think this is going to be horrible, and thankfully it didn't last long, was her male sheriff guy that was kind of lumpy and got his arm chewed off early, like 10 minutes after the opening scene. He reminded me of the cop in Halloween 2, not the remake crap or this new trilogy. I'm talking back in 1981. There's a cop there where they have a really long scene.
Deputy Pine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Pine is gone. His vine is ripped off and all that. It was they should have made a vine out of Pine's.
He ended up being what's his name in Jurassic Park. He ended up being
what?
No, I'm trying to think of the actor, because all he always left him was an arm holding the flashlight. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
He ended up being Samuel Jackson in Jurassic Park. When she walks in, she's like, "Oh, thank it's you," and then arm. He's all that's left is an arm. Yeah,
it's always cool when you have an animal attack movie, because again, we've talked about old science fiction movies a little bit, concepts. One of them is with after World War II, the idea that man's at fault because man screwed nature, and this is nature's way of making things even. Now everyone likes to make these disaster movies, and of course make it climate change to send a message when nobody wants the message. They want the disaster. And that's why other movies that you and I've covered, like Earthquake or whatever, was more about the people, and there's more of a soap opera, and the triggering element, of course, is how they deal with it. That's always a better thing, because again, the relationships that you deal with are more important than the message you're trying to put out there. So leave that shit alone. There was a TV show that John Carpenter did a theme for, where the animals seemed to kind of go against the humans. Zoo, for a couple years I watched, and it wasn't horrible, and I liked it because you got to see a lot of stuff like this, and it just tickled that button of, I like to see it when things like that go wrong or not what you're used to. And it's just kind of badass how you can look at the world differently, because we forget to look at it in the world of people that have been here for a very long time, and I'm talking gators. And so yeah, there's something about it. If you're gonna have a gator, you gotta get your gator spirit going on. If you're gonna have movies like The Bird Box, where it's supposed to be, I guess, birds, I don't know, it's kind of silly to me, and you can't look, I don't know, have birds, and just whatever it's going to be. Giant spiders. We haven't had a giant spider movie in a friggin' long time, or a spider movie. I'm upset about that. That bothers me. There's somebody should go, let me get a paycheck. Let me make a spider movie show for Netflix for a season, because they'll greenlight anything, right? You know what I'm saying? It's just, there's just such a gold mine of stuff that they could scrub at this, and they don't even bother doing it. So we're reducing to see Casper Van Dein movies.
I'm just mad that we never got a Bruce Campbell Gator movie. That would have been awesome.
Because it would have been too much Bruce. You couldn't do it.
No, it'd be Bruce versus the Gator, and it would be awesome, bro. It's just, dude, I guess that's the kind of person he is. He's very sarcastic, and he's like, "Are you freaking kidding me? The Gator keeps coming." He's like, "Die!" I just kept thinking that's like literally what the movie would be. It would be a horror comedy like Evil Dead, and I would love it.
A comedy.
Yes.
Call it an action comedy if you want, but don't call it a horror comedy.
Horror comedy.
There's no such thing.
It's dark humor.
That's okay. That's humor, though. That's
with
not
horror aspect. With horror aspects.
Well, agree to disagree. But that being said, it was a nice selection that you pulled out of your ass here at the last minute, because we were talking about a couple of different things. And I'd actually seen a trailer for this recently somewhere, and went, oh, maybe we'll do an Animals Attack, because Shark Week's coming up, all these things too, and it's become kind of like an institution of movies, and you just can't go wrong with an Animals Attack. So
like I said,
I think it's decent enough to watch one time.
it was either this or New Police Story by Jackie Chan, which I still haven't seen yet. 2004.
Yeah, Alligator 1980s is definitely worth a watch. Lake Placids were solid. The thing with Alligator that is pretty good, Robert Forster, that's his name, the guy that played one of the sheriffs on the new Twin Peaks revival, not revival, but the return, I should say. He's been around a long time, and I think he stars in it. I remember him then because I thought he had a pretty decent screen presence. It's that old urban myth of if you take your gator and you flush him down the toilet, he doesn't die. He goes to sewers and can grow really big and eat people and come out of and eat your butt. Just like snakes and other stuff that comes out. And here in Florida, I've seen frogs come out of the toilet. Not gonna lie to you, in high-rise buildings, nice ones too, downtown Orlando. Business ones, I'll say, where I was doing business, going to the men's room. It's an elite place or whatever like that. Floor to ceiling. Tile everywhere and all that, and then open up the toilet. It's like, hey there, Mr. Frog, how the hell did you get in there? And he was a big guy, and I'm glad I didn't sit down, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So everybody brings up the 1980 Alligator. I want to go back to Gator for Reynolds, 1956.
It's not a gator movie. Ed's mentioning Blackwater 2007. I believe that's an Australian one where that's a crocodile movie, not a gator, because it's saltwater. And that's actually pretty tense early on. It's definitely a level above this kind of movie. Because, if you've seen them with Australia with the crocodiles and how they lay out stuff, for some reason that's almost scarier than gators to me. Gators you can kind of understand a little bit. I'm not saying, don't not respect them, because that's the wrong thing to do. But there's something just a bit more scarier about crocodiles to me. I don't know why. And
crocodiles,
Blackwater's definitely worth a watch, I would say. Better more than this one, actually.
Crocodiles are more aggressive than gators.
Yeah,
it's just the way they something in them that they're much more aggressive. Alligators pretty much want to be left alone.
Exactly, they're just like giant.
Yeah, they're like they're just like coyotes or whatever. It is like they see human, they go away the other way. But if you get in their territory,
yes,
and they haven't eaten in a while, they will go after you.
And they are fast motherfuckers.
Oh my gosh, they are. Yeah. So when it comes to this movie, it's like I said, I was looking at it. I'm like, okay, this came out this couple days ago. It's available for rent for $5.99. You can watch it on. Actually, no, take it back. It's $6.99 on Amazon Prime right now. You can also watch it through YouTube and this Vudu as well. Or obviously, if you want to go the high seas, it's there too as well. And honestly, I don't think this is worth even $7 rental. This should have been a $3.99 rental or $2.99 rental. Yeah. But it's because it's brand new. They got to pay everybody, and I'm surprised this must have been planned before the writer's strike. This must have been said. I don't know when this was filmed.
Yeah,
but just give me more Casper Van Dein movies, man. That's all I'm asking for.
The Omega Code.
I mean, if they do a reboot of Starship Troopers, Casper Van Dein, I want him reprising his role. I don't care. Like those, as bad as the sequels were, a lot of them were animated for Starship Troopers. They were still good. But definitely check this movie out. I'm curious to see, Ed. I know we read a lot of movies.
Blackwater over this one though. If you had to pick, I would say.
Seriously. I would pick Lake Placid over this. Lake Placid, only the first one. The other two you don't need.
Yeah. Lake Placid's not bad. Blackwater's just actually almost scary or more tense. Lake Placid's not bad. I like Lake Placid, but Blackwater, I think out of these three, I think it's Blackwater. To your point, a close second would be Lake Placid, and then distant third would be this one. I'm not even counting Alligator though.
For me, I do not hate anything. I hate everything that has to do with animals in the water attacking people, whether sharks or even this. As bad as it was, I still get a little jumpy when I see something coming in the water towards a person and they're not looking. I'm like, oh, my sister's gonna get eaten, and it's like, luckily this wasn't as bad as Corral. Corral, you see a guy get pulled apart by 4 gators.
Yeah.
I was like, this was just like CG, so it didn't really look that real. But Corral is like she's swimming in the water and you don't really see it. This you can kind of see the gator coming towards them, and Corral you really don't see it until and then when you do see it, it's like it doesn't even have to be in the water.
Yeah,
it's the fact she's gonna drown if she doesn't get out of there. So I just kept thinking about that too. And this building here, I guess their storage locker or storage room was on the very first floor. Because I'm thinking there's not a basement. It could be a basement in Louisiana. That's kind of weird.
Not
but
really, because they're
no,
below the floodplain. It's tough.
yeah. So I kept thinking like you see him going down the stairs. I'm like, where's he going? Like the basement? I'm like, well, and then because they look at the side of the building, it didn't look like there's that much water coming up already. But yeah, a lot of gator movies out there. I obviously don't, I wouldn't mind doing some more of those. Uh,
Oh yeah, it's
yeah.
that's extreme content right there. Animals attack. There is a clip that went around maybe within the past year on Twitter. It might have been here in Florida, but and it's obviously I'm a huge animal lover. I'm a big time dog lover. I mean, there's no secret about that. Very partial to them and all that. Had them my whole life and other animals, but for me, I never want to see dog abuse. And I know Hollywood likes to shit on dogs and not treat them like heroes
Oh
and
my
tease
gosh,
and
Crawl
stuff.
the dog scene.
Well, yeah, but the thing is there's a Twitter video going around of an old guy. And he's got like a T-shirt on. I think he's got
Oh
like a
yeah,
Scurvy,
I laughed
and
my
he
ass off.
walks in the water and just starts beating the shit out of a gator to save his tiny little puppy. And
Well,
I'm
not that.
telling you, that's no joke. Down here in Florida, you don't F around like that. They'll go after everything, and people will go after them with golf clubs and everything else there too. It's you do
That's not.
not touch
Yeah,
your baby dogs. But that's Florida man stuff there. I don't know if
that's
you
not.
get that stuff in the Midwest, but that's what you get
No,
down here,
but
bro.
that's not the one I saw. I saw the one where the gator is minding his own business on the walkway. He goes up with a knife, tries to stab it, and then it ends up biting his hand.
No, yeah, that's just not smart. No, you got to do better than that.
Yeah, I'm looking at there's a rank here from Screen Rant to get as far as the top 11 best crocodile alligator horror movies ranked. 11 being Alligator, 10 is Crocodile 2, Death Swamp, which I remember seeing that in 2002. That was messed up. Then there's Eaten Alive, 1976. It's available on Tubi and Peacock and Vudu. The Toby Hooper, who made the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
He did that movie.
Eaten Alive.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like the title.
Deranged hotel owner who gets a taste for killing and disposes of bodies by feeding them to a local crocodile. The more people come to his hotel, the more he views them as food for his pet, mixing two subgenres of horror to make a new neat concept. On top of that, the villain, by Neville Brand, is a highly memorable. So, and then of course they threw Rampage on here. I don't really count that as an alligator movie. I count that as
Rampage is a joke. Stop insulting me.
Number 7 is Dark Age from 1987. You ever seen that one? It's supposed to be a knockoff of Jaws. Crocodile is simply an animal. It's humans who are basically the main villains attacking him, and he's the hero. He basically fights for his life and kills people. Blackwater.
No.
Blackwater, number 6.
Blackwater's good.
Which is also on Tubi as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rogue, which is from 2007. So it's available on Tubi, a lot of these. Blackwater Abyss. This came out 3 years ago. Primeval at number 3.
Primeval is good. If I remember correctly, yeah. Primeval is a good one. Yes.
Lake Placid at number 2. And their number 1 movie for Gators is Crawl. Crawl is just, like I said,
it's
close
quarter.
It's close quarter.
Brutal. It's not that intense. It's
no.
done well, though.
For me, it's intense because it's close quarter combat with Gators. She can't really go anywhere. She's inside a house, stuck. And then the whole thing with the dog swimming through the water, climbing up. It's like you're like, is the dog gonna die? Is the dog gonna die? You're just thinking like,
kill it, friggin' die. Yeah.
So it's like you're just the tense, the suspense, man. You're just like, whew. That's why I like Crawl, man. Crawl is a movie that came out of nowhere. I didn't expect to like it. I didn't care for the actress. I just saw it and I was just like, dude, this looks kind of cool. And I'm like, and I see the trailer of the dog swimming, and then you see the gators. I'm thinking like, you sons of bitches, don't you kill that dog. Yeah, so if you haven't seen The Flood, and you don't want to pay $7, I would
don't pay $7. You'll like it more than you do.
I would wait till it hits Blockbuster, or not Blockbuster. Yeah, it's gone. Wait till it hits Walmart. It might be cheaper. Then again, or just wait till it hits Tubi. A lot of these movies really go straight to Tubi, especially the digital ones.
Yeah,
like this. So you can wait about a couple months, or maybe 2 months at most. But man, Bear Williams. I hope this guy gets some more roles. Why wasn't he in Extraction? He's a big old dude. Imagine him gets Chris Hemsworth. That would have been awesome. I guess he's been in some other movies too. He's Operation Blood Hunt, which came out. It's what's about to come out. He was also in Sheroes, which is that 2023. So weird. And then Hellhound, where he plays a fighter. Tremors, Shrieker Island. He was on there.
Oh boy.
2020. Dude.
All right. Anything you need to plug for tonight?
Not much, man. Just I'll be live on my channel in about 20 minutes. Geeky Puppet Show, talking about new comic books come out this week. If you guys have suggestions for some animal movies, not goats movies. We don't care about goats. I don't care if they're horror movies. I don't want no goats.
It was a TNA movie.
Maybe we'll. I don't know. I kind of want to. Should we do Alligator on Sunday, or should we wait till next Tuesday? I kind of want to do that though. It's been a while since I've seen that.
We'll just have to figure that out.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, on the Xtreme Movie Show, we're probably going to be doing another Gator movie. Yeah. We're on a Gator roll right now until something else grabs our attention.
Yeah.
We're autistic. Yeah, that's how we roll.
They call me Gator.
Stop it. Gators bitches be wearing Jimmy's is all I know. Whose baby's that? I'm waiting for the first killer Gator movie that's a comedy. Wait a minute, that was the Meg and it flopped. All right, guys.
Meg 2 will flop harder.
Oh, God.
Well, actually might do better because there's no Ruby Rose in there.
Piranha movies are inherently a level above Gator movies, but Gators should be better. They are underachieving as far as movies go.
Like I said, a lot of these movies.
Killer Rabbit movies. I'm not joking.
Killer Rabbit. What was it? The Holy Grail?
Yes, Killer Rabbit movies. Okay. All right, guys, there you have it. The Flood, recent release here, 2023.
Now that's a knife.
Not that. That's crap. That's 80s crap. That's up there with E.T.
I had to. He brought up Paul Hogan.
Yeah, he's doing it to trigger because he knew you could trigger easily. That's why I'm not triggering. That's why, like, he's a Gator. You're Gator bait.
I'm not triggered at all. I love Crocodile Dundee. It's a great movie.
Okay, well,
2 and 3 are bad.
Well, of course they are, because they don't kill anybody and there's no TNA. It's too wholesome. Anyway. All right, yeah, these movies have to just be on a visceral level too. Blackwater, Primeval are interesting ones, and same with Gator. We might have to do a month of Gator movies or When Animals Attack, because you just get in that mode where you're like, all right, let's watch Denzel for a while. Okay, let's watch this.
After the Gator movies, we'll do you guys a solid. We'll do the Casper Van Dein movies, where you too can watch them on Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi's a gold mine, ladies and gentlemen. Check the place out. There's a lot of them on there.
Tubi, Pluto TV is the other one. Yeah.
All right, have a good night, everybody. Stay extreme. This has not been a Dan Curtis production, nor a Quinn Martin.